Okay, I have 10, 15 minutes to show you how do you build a bulletproof business that is, as an enterprise, something that can work with or without you. Most small businesses that I work with create a trap for themselves. And this technician trap that we call it is what stops them from actually scaling, building teams, building businesses, helping people, making money, having fun along the way. So I have 15 minutes to convince you that if you're not doing this in your business, you're probably stopping yourself, probably being the bottleneck for the business, and probably never going to scale. I know it's painful to hear. I had to hear that when I first started as a young and naive business owner. Okay, cool. So, how do you bulletproof a business? Well, before you think about the strategy behind bulletproofing a business, you need to understand, first of all, the mechanics of what a business is. And a business is simply this. Hope you guys can see well here. You can see my high-tech stuff, by the way. It's not the technology and the setup and the shiny objects. It's the stuff that I'm going to be teaching you. And if you think of a business, and let's say this is your clinic, again, you have to absolutely excuse my drawings. Does this clinic work when you're not there? Let's say this is you, I call it the stress test, and someone for 6 months puts you on this island. These are the palm trees, by the way. And you come back after 6 months and you've not had any contact with this thing here, which is a separate entity, which is the business. How does that look like? Are you seeing patients at the same volume? Are you delivering the same quality service? Are your team members that you've put in the right seats doing the stuff that they're there to do, they're hired to do? This is really important to ask yourself, because if you don't have that model, chances are you don't have a business. And that's absolutely fine if you want to be the only practitioner in the company who wants to deliver the service themselves, who wants to clean the floor, who wants to market, who wants to advertise, who wants to write the patient's report, who wants to do the spinal screenings, and all these operational things that are necessary for a business to run. What's really important is to distinguish the difference between, and I have one chart that I want to share with you today. I'll probably have to put it in the show notes because my drawing will be limited, but I call it the fire yourself chart. And what does that look like for us as a company where I've built 14, 15, 16 people, full-time members of the team, and God knows how many subcontractors, and my business partner has another 4 clinics. So what does it actually look like? Because if someone hasn't shown you the path, you probably think that the way you're doing it is the right way because you don't know any other way. And the first thing I probably want to share with you is, let's not use me as an example. Let's use a chiropractor called Sarah. Sarah starts her clinic. Sarah wants to help lots of people, but she wants to practice herself. She chose to run a clinic because she wanted to have more freedom. This is what people typically tell me. I want more freedom. I want the way I want to practice. I want to choose my holidays and that. The reality of it is she's super happy. She's like, oh my God, I'm changing lives. I saw 24 patients last week. And a few months later, a few years down the line, she has created this wheel, we'll call it the hamster wheel, where you're just constantly having to run to make sure that the wheel spins. Imagine the wheel is the business, the money, the cash flow. When Sarah goes on holiday and she travels, the business does not run. When something terrible happens, God forbid, and she has an injury on her ankle, the business doesn't operate. It doesn't serve people. It doesn't have the service providing because she's not there. Because Sarah is the business. Sarah doesn't have a business. She's created a job within her organization. So this is what we call the technician's trap. That's where most small businesses I find it challenging. She might be talented. Sarah might absolutely love chiropractic, love helping patients. Hopefully all of you guys do, because that's the reason why you started being a chiropractor in the first place. But to avoid what 99.9% of businesses, small business owners do and think, you have to think like the 1%. And the 1% often think, well, how do I create a business that I work on rather than working in it? And you may have read books like The E-Myth Revisited, you may have done coaching and consulting, but what does that actually look like? It's very important not to just understand the theory, but for you to know the tactics, the step-by-step, to go from this, I call it the mindset shift from you being the technician and this is when you do all the work, this is the hand, this is the chiropractor, to then you having the ability to go to this island, if you choose to, for 6 weeks, for 6 months, and when you come back, the entity of the business runs in exactly the same fashion. Some of you think it's not possible. I thought actually was possible really early on in my career. So year 3 after doing, maybe year 3 into 4, 2 into 3, I can't remember, after starting the practice, and I thought I was the big dog entrepreneur, stepping away, the business for itself, and it just collapsed. I didn't have systems, I didn't have something called SOPs, I didn't have best practices, I didn't have policies, contracts, and so on. And the bunch of these things, these tools, is what makes half the business run. The other half is what I want to talk about today, and that is the one chart, which I call the fire yourself chart. Okay, cool. So there are so many coaches in the UK, there probably more in the States, that teach you day 1, day 2, which is great. We teach that too. They tell you that, oh, you need to, it's all about profits. Turnover is sanity. Turnover is what's the saying? Turnover is vanity. Profit is sanity, and all that stuff, which sounds really cool on paper. But what does that look like on a Monday when I go to work? What does that look like for my first quarter of my business? What do I talk to my team about? How do I get a team? When I do have a team, how do I place them? What does an interview process look like? If I have a dispute with a particular member of staff, what is my procedure or policy to confront them? How do I keep policing the building with SOPs in place? This is the stuff that excites me, because I understand now the difference between me 3, 4, 5 years ago when I stepped away from the business and it almost collapsed, to now I have a machine that truly serves to a quality that it would have served if I was doing it myself, probably better now, to 10x the number of patients that I would have been able to provide with me not having to work in it. Now, it doesn't mean I don't work hard. It doesn't mean I don't work smart. It doesn't mean I don't spend a lot of time on thinking about how to make the business better. But it doesn't involve me working in it. And that is a choice that potentially some of you might want to have. Some of you, by the way, this is not the right thing for you. You don't want to run a business. You don't want the stress of having to hire people and manage them and put systems in place. But if some of you are interested in that, you need to ask the question of, not how can I serve more patients, but how can my business serve more patients without me being the bottleneck? That is the question I want you to think about from today's video. And in the private group that I teach, I share these like charts with people, and we visualize them and we brainstorm them and make them applicable for their clinic. For today's purpose of the video, I'll try to explain what a true business that can survive without you looks like, and how many moving parts there are, but also how to, what we call, decentralize yourself from the business. How do you decentralize yourself from the cleaner asking you how to clean the floor, and the gardeners asking you which bushes to trim, and the practice manager asking you how to sort out the shifts for the CAs, and the CAs asking you how to do a schedule for a patient, and so on and so forth. When I work with private clients, I often tell them, I don't know half the stuff now. I did when I first started, but now my manager knows how to be a better manager than me. My CAs know how to be better CAs than me. My massage therapists know how to be better massage therapists than me. My chiropractors know how to be better chiropractors than me. And that is a definition of a business, an entity that can operate at its effectively with or without the business owner being in it. And by the way, it took me massive amount of trial and error and very costly mistakes, maybe 20, 30, 40k a month. I've got another video and article about this where I say, look, when I didn't have these systems and strategic things in place, I thought I had a business, but it massively relied on me. So I do share in, if you guys are interested, I can maybe make another video on this, but I do share the way I transitioned from being the operator and being in operator's trap to going from that mindset shift and having the entrepreneurial mindset that the business needs to run whether I'm here, whether I'm not here. Okay, we call it freedom through business mastery. And guys, let's imagine, let me go through what's called a fire yourself chart. So imagine on top here, is you. You're the director. It might be you, it might be you and your partner, business partner, wife. Just kind of for me and my wife, kind of how it works. And you're the business owner. You're the director or directors. Okay? Well, how many of you currently are asked every single day to treat patients, to do marketing, to edit Facebook pages, to write a blog, to deliver to your clinic, to do the spinal screenings, to train staff, to hire, to fire, and so on. The list goes on and on and on and on. I mean, I'm designing in one of my passion projects is, I call it the playbook, where I have a collection of playbooks to know for each part of the business, what is the playbook, what are the exact steps. And I've come up with hundreds of examples, and I'm just at the beginning of this project. I'll be working on it for the next 10 years and probably not scratching the surface, but there's so many things that, as an operational side point of view, you can be doing if a business is truly making 50 to 100k a month and is profitable and it runs without you. But the question is, how do you create a system to decentralize yourself? This is what we have. So let's say this is the clinic. Let's say you even have more clinics, more than one, because one day that might be your choice. We have, let's say, 5 clinics here. On top here, we might have someone who is called, we call them area manager. So this person has the responsibility to have direct contact with the director of the business, which is myself, my wife in this case. I also have direct contact with this person, and they also have direct contact with me. The decisions we make might be what software to use, how do we create another contract, the big decisions. They're not like, how do I get the patient back in for maintenance care because they forgot to book their appointment. You'll see where that comes in place in the bigger chart. This will probably get messy, by the way, so if you do need to, I can send you the visual that I share with some of my clients. Then each organizational chart needs to have a way to protect your time and your energy, so that the energy that you use is made and used for the big decisions in the business. Your business is basically a collection of small decisions and big decisions that are consistently done on a daily basis. After a year, 2, 3, your business looks like as an extension of what your thinking is and what your acting is. So your thoughts and your actions will eventually create the extension of what the business will look like. So you better be a good decision maker. And if you're not, go and watch some of my previous videos about mental models and all these things that we teach people how to do. The area manager then might be managing each clinic's practice managers. So let's pretend this is just my clinic down here, and we have the practice manager for my clinic. This practice manager has a direct contact with the area manager, and the area manager has direct contact with the practice manager. That means they might have a meeting. I don't even need to be there. I'm not there. They have them every Wednesday mornings, I believe. And they've had them for like 3 years now. I'm not there. I don't really know what they talk about. If I do, then the area manager will tell me. The practice manager might also report to me about something important that is happening within my clinic. The practice manager also will communicate with chiropractic, we'll just call them chiros associates. We might have 1, we might have 2 chiropractic associates, we currently have 5, and these guys have certain meetings with the manager. We keep them accountable, they keep us accountable, we have feedback forms, we have weekly meetings, we have KPI meetings, we have different ways to report how the business is doing, how they're doing, and how the development is going. I may not speak to the, I do, by the way, because it's still a passion of mine, but I don't have to, because there is no real, like the chiropractor's not going to say to me, oh Stefan, the light bulb in room 4 went, can you please replace him? Like, what are you talking about? This is why we have a manager. Go and speak to her. The manager then has linked to all the hope you guys can see, contractors. These can be like electricians, plumbers, builders, gardeners. We have the cleaners in the clinic, where she orders stuff from, where she finds the best deals on Amazon. I don't know where we buy our toilet paper for the clinic. I don't know how much we pay the gardeners. At some point I probably said yes or no, that's okay. But we also have certain processes in place if you want to protect this person's time, to say, you know what, anything that is above £100, I need you to approve with me or the area manager that we're getting for the clinic as an investment or as whatever it is. Like, we may buy £300 worth of massage oil. The first time she does that, my manager, it will get approved by me, and then the following time she just sends me the invoices. So you can see how you can be strategic about really protecting your time, but also building this system that absolutely will run with or without me, because we have different people in place. For each person, we do a lot of training. For each person, we have certain manuals. For each person, we have certain roles. For each role, we have certain standard operating procedures. But that's where my time goes, is to create these models rather than how do I get the grass in my big garden out there cut? How do I get a new sign designed? And I don't know. We have like people that do that because we've put people in the right place. Then the chiropractors have their little sort of models here, so they might be in direct communication with the massage therapists or the people who do the rehab. Then they communicate back and forth about cases. So they've almost created like mini ecosystems within the bigger ecosystem of how this thing can survive without me. Now, don't get me wrong. I absolutely love to know what's happening here. So I've created certain reports and certain things that get written, and every Monday, for example, I get this like master sheet where I know exactly how we performed, what happened, which KPI dropped, which KPI increased. And that's the level of detail that when I work with practices, we go into. But this process can probably take you 12 to 24 months sometimes to implement in your business. You might not even have we haven't even talked about the CAs. You may not even have a CA yet. This is the most exciting thing. When we start, I have a couple of clients since September, recording this video, since June, he has hired, he was the only chiropractor in the space. He's hired 2 CAs, probably need to hire a third one, and an associate chiropractor, and moved from a smaller premise to bigger premises within like 3-4 months. Now, realistically, it takes 6 to 12 months to really start to make those changes, but they're possible when someone is showing you the way and you have a support system around you. So, important stuff. Does it seem complicated? Yes. Is it complicated? No. Why? Because we operate from first principles thinking, which means, what is the objective I'm trying to create here? I'm trying to make sure that they have something that runs with or without me. How do I do that? I do that through systems, from procedures, from standard operating procedures, from people, and knowing how to hire, knowing how to interview people, knowing how to incentivize people, knowing how to keep staff, knowing how to create team culture. And that is why, and this is not a sales pitch, but I believe we're going to have the best program, forget about the UK, probably in the world, within the next 3 to 5 years. And some of those people who joined already, we launched it about a month ago, already sending me also messages to say how excited they are to be part of it, how helpful they find it, how positive the group is. So yeah, really, really excited to build something for the community and for people to be part of it. But guys, I'm just going to leave you with this mindset shift that it's not just how hard you work. It really isn't just about how many patients you see. It's about how do I create something that can serve many more people than my own time. It's about not exchanging your time just for money. And maybe even being completely transparent is also, do I want to own a business? Or do I just want to have a job in someone else's corporation that I put the pen down? And this is honest, by the way. I know a lot of you, obviously, I want you to be part of my group. I want you to be clients. Of course I do. I'd love to work with more people. But this is not for everyone. So the question always is like starting with the end goal in mind. Why am I doing this? And if you truly tell me I'm doing it because I want to be more free, I want to have more financial freedom, I want to have more time, money, I want to spend more time with my family, then you are not doing yourself service, you're not doing yourself justice if you don't follow certain business principles. You're just creating more stress, you're creating less freedom, and definitely more headaches. So the question is, are you ready to work on your business instead of in the business? Because the journey starts from having a mindset shift, understanding how to think, understanding how to make decisions. And this stuff I can teach you in like 6 months. This is the easy stuff, trust me. Hope you found this video helpful. I'll see you on the other side.